So this is Baruch Fleischman here. I'm at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and I'm in my backyard. I really like it out here. I'm an outdoor type of guy. Last time that we were learning Rabbi Mimran, we got to the concept of the world of silence. And like many, many other things that I see with Rabbi Mimran, because when I was younger and I never practiced, but I was trained in psychotherapy, counseling. And I think about it all the time. There was a concept there in undergraduate school that I saw, which was called Gestalt. It was a kind of therapy, Gestalt therapy. What is Gestalt therapy? I mean, if you ever took psychology courses in college, then you'll see that there's different theories exactly how to help people in counseling. So Gestalt is one of them. What does Gestalt do? Gestalt is a concept is that there's a figure and a ground. So let's say whatever is bothering you is focused in your mind. You have a picture of it. It's like this. You see what it is. And it may be very dynamic because it may be a fight or some kind of depression or something like this. It has lots of parts to it. What the Gestalt tries to do is show you where you are in that picture. That is what's going through your mind. This is very similar to what we're doing here. Maybe not as good as what we're doing here. But the idea is to separate the object from the background in which it exists. That is, let's say, for example, it's existing in you. And what have you been doing? Well, all that aspect of you that this noise inside of your head is making, all that aspect is no sound. Silent. And so pertaining to the perception of silence and the fact that it's there all the time, very important to healing in a lot of ways. So over here we come to Rabbi Mimran. The last time he talked about silence. Now he says another chapter, and it's going to have the same word in it. It says another doorway to true wisdom is silence. Then he quotes this from the Sefer Yetzirah: silence your mouth from speech and your heart from contemplation. And he says your heart meaning your mind. So let's look a little bit more. Umechlal sharish kadiyas ha'ava. So if you want to talk about what it takes to really bring love to yourself, hu avas his boidedus. This comes through the love of meditation and contemplation with Hashem Yisbarach, directing yourself to dveikus. Shebiyosa adam choshek la'avas habris chavaras b'nei adam. If you have a person, say for example, that he loves crowds. He loves to be in the company of other people. Because while he's doing that and he's in his social environment, he's not thinking about the space in which is around him, which is silent. But instead absorbed. Because of a Rav Yitzchak Dimin Ako, Allah b'Shalom, Zel L'Shon, this is what he says, HaMizboided, a person who places himself alone in a place where he can attempt to reach Hashem Yisborach. Haroel eschus el ma'alas hisboidedus leman yanuach alav hashola b'chayev. So he wants to love. This is the place which really brings ultimate peace and oneness for this person. Now let's try this. That was my translation. Let's see what the translation is that that Rabbi Mimran brings us. He says, included in the basic idea of acquiring love is loving solitary meditation. He says, because when a man desires the love of company, of other people, when he's in that situation, it's impossible for him to be attached. Rabbi Yitzchak from Akko, blessed be he, wrote, the meditator wants to achieve this great level of meditation in order to wrest upon himself peace in his lifetime. Peace, shalva, balance, middle line. So now, Rabbi Mimran brings us this thought. The famous but not so well understood teaching was stated by a great sage in Pirkei Avos. He says, all my life I have been brought up amongst the wisest of men and did not find anything that benefited me more than silence. Similarly, it was stated by another sage who said the greatest protection to wisdom is silence. So what's it all about? The silence that makes it so powerful and effective. The spiritual world is not separated from the manifested one. We are conscious of it. It encompasses this world, but is so well disguised that it's easily missed by people. Nevertheless, if you know where to look, you'll find it everywhere. The spiritual door opens up at every moment. Do you hear the cars driving by? Are those people speaking in the distance? Listen carefully. Can you feel the presence of the unmanifested in that? You can't? Look for it in the silence out of which the sounds come and to which they return. Pay more attention to the silence than to the sounds. Paying attention to our outer silence creates inner silence. The mind becomes still. A doorway is opening up. Every sound is born out of silence. And when it's gone, it dies back into silence. And during its lifespan, let's say the sound is surrounded by silence. Silence enables the sound to be. That's the idea of the gestalt, because without the background, what the person is doing, and this is a psychological sense, couldn't necessarily make sense. But if we understand the background in which it exists, which is silent, silence enables the sound to be. It is an intrinsic but unmanifested part of every sound. Every musical note, every song, every word. The spiritual world is presented in this world as silence. All you have to do is pay attention to it. Even during a conversation, become conscious of the gaps between words, the brief, silent periods between sentences. As you do that, the dimension of stillness grows within you. You cannot pay attention to silence without simultaneously becoming still within. Silence without stillness within. You have entered into the hidden spiritual dimension. You are connected to the realm of God. This is Baruch Fleischman. I'm at the Tikkun Elevator Kola, and I think this is the 57th shiur. Could be 57 like that. In Rabbi Mimran.